one of the largest known organisms on Earth, doesn't walk, roar, or even live above the ground. Imagine the biggest living thing you can. A blue whale? Too small. A giant sequoia? Still not what we're looking for. Maybe something prehistoric. Something enormous enough that standing beside it would make a human almost disappear. But this giant doesn't have legs. It doesn't have a single enormous trunk. And if you walked directly across it, you might never realize it was there. Because beneath a forest in Oregon, something has been growing through the soil on a scale that almost breaks our definition of an individual organism. Our story begins in the Malheur National Forest in eastern Oregon. During the 1990s, researchers were investigating why groups of trees were dying. The suspected killer was Armillaria, is a genus of fungi commonly known as honey fungi. Some species are forest pathogens. They can colonize tree roots and spread through underground structures, causing root disease and eventually killing susceptible trees. From above ground, you might occasionally see clusters of mushrooms. But those mushrooms are not the entire fungus. They're more like temporary reproductive structures. Most of the organism exists out of sight. Armillaria can grow through wood and soil using networks of fungal tissue and specialized cord-like structures called rhizomorphs. And that's where the mystery began. Researchers collected fungal samples from trees across the forest. Some samples were separated by enormous distances. At first glance, you might assume they belonged to different fungi, but scientists contest that. Researchers compared samples using compatibility testing and genetic techniques, and something extraordinary emerged. Many apparently separated infections belonged to the same genetic individual. Wait, what? The fungus appearing beneath one tree and fungal material found hundreds or thousands of meters away could be parts of one enormous organism. The individual was identified as Armillaria ostoyae, a species now often classified as Armillaria solidipes. Its underground growth extended across a vast area of forest. Published estimates have placed the genetically continuous individual across roughly 965 hectares, or about 2,385 acres. That's nearly 10 square kilometers. But even that number needs context. Scientists are not claiming that every cubic centimetre beneath that entire area is filled with solid fungus. The organism grows through a patchy environment: soil, roots, dead wood, living trees, rock. Its biological network occupies suitable material across the landscape. Think less like an enormous underground mushroom and more like a living system extending through a forest. And because most of it is hidden underground or inside wood, you cannot stand at one edge and simply see its body stretching toward the horizon. That is the first real WTF moment. You could walk for kilometers across the same genetic organism without ever seeing most of it. How heavy is it? That's difficult. Unlike weighing a whale, researchers cannot simply place this organism on a scale. Its total biomass has to be estimated from measurements and assumptions about how much fungal tissue exists within colonized material. Different assumptions produce different results. Its age is even harder to determine. Scientists can estimate age using its geographic extent and plausible growth rates. Those calculations suggest the Oregon individual may be thousands of years old. Some estimates place it at several thousand years, potentially much older depending on assumptions. But there is no birth certificate hidden beneath the forest. Its exact age is unknown, and that uncertainty creates an even stranger question. What exactly counts as one organism? For humans, the answer seems obvious: one body, one individual. But fungi make that definition uncomfortable. A fungal individual can spread through enormous areas. Parts may become physically separated. Some sections may die, while others continue growing. Yet genetically, surviving sections can remain essentially the same individual lineage. So is individuality determined by physical connection, genetic identity, continuous growth, shared origin? Suddenly, the simple question, how big is this organism, becomes partly a question about what an organism even is. Another WTF moment. One of Earth's largest known living individuals doesn't resemble our intuitive idea of an individual at all. And perhaps that's why the Oregon armillaria is so fascinating. It didn't need to become tall like a redwood. It didn't need to become massive like a whale. Its strategy was completely different. Spread slowly, quietly. Through roots and soil, year after year, century after century. While forests above it changed, trees grew, trees died. Humans eventually arrived. And beneath them, the fungus continued occupying its hidden world. There is something humbling about that. Humans naturally notice life that moves. Animals running, birds flying, trees reaching toward the sky. But biology doesn't care what is impressive to human eyes. Some of the planet's most extraordinary organisms live according to completely different rules. They grow slowly. They hide inside other structures. They spread beneath landscapes. And sometimes we only discover their true scale because genetics reveals that things appearing separate are actually connected. The giant in Oregon was never hiding because it was rare or invisible. It was hiding because humans were looking for giants in the wrong direction. We looked up. We should have looked down. Some of Earth's giants have been beneath us the entire time. If this changed the way you imagine the ground beneath your feet, subscribe. Every single day, we uncover another hidden truth about reality, science, space, and the human mind. Because reality doesn't need monsters or mythology to become unbelievable. Sometimes the real giant is already here, quietly growing beneath an ordinary forest.